Hey guys, it's Clinton Jeff from UnleashThePhones.com, and here's a quick video review of the Sony Xperia SL. It's basically a faster version of the Sony Xperia S, kind of the same thing that Sony did last year with the Sony Xperia Arc and the Xperia Arc S. Right now you have a faster processor that's about 1.7 gigahertz. It's a Snapdragon S3. You also have Android ICS running out of the box instead of Gingerbread like on the Xperia S, which now has an update to ICS. At the back you still have the same 12 megapixel camera and the same design overall with 32 GB of internal memory. You have that nice little curved back right there, which means it's easier to hold in the hand. The design is a little boxy at the front. You have this nice little transparent element which kind of makes it look a little futuristic, though the design is admittedly pretty rugged. It's easy enough to navigate with one hand because of the design that is not too large. You have these three little buttons at the bottom, which in the beginning are a little hard to use, but you do get used to them pretty fast. You also have these little indicators here in the transparent element to let you know what these buttons do. The illuminated transparent strip is basically also the antenna, and as you can see it lights up right there, so it does look pretty cool, and it admittedly does catch a little bit of attention in low light situations. Just to give you a quick tour of the ports all around, you have the micro USB port right there that's covered up with a nice little plastic flap. It's a little hard to get off, but it does keep dust from getting in, so it is appreciated, and it fits in very nice and uniform as well. At the bottom you have a little outlet for a lanyard cable and the pinhole for the microphone. On this side you have the dedicated camera key and the volume keys, along with a little HDMI out port as well that's also covered with a plastic flap. And at the top you have the 3.5mm audio jack and the screen and power lock button right there. What does steal your attention though is that beautiful screen at the front. It's a 4.3-inch screen at 720 by 1280 pixel resolution. So that's a pixel density of about 342, I think, ppi, which is really well, quite solid because most other phones in this price range have a much larger screen. So in this case you have a 4.3-inch screen and text looks a lot more crisper because of that resolution. It is, I think, the highest PPI out of a lot of phones in this price range. So it does look pretty cool. The screen itself is quite nice and bright, as you can see. Viewing angles are a little bit off-ish, but they're not too bad. The screen also uses Sony's Bravia technology for when you look at pictures on the screen. As a result, the pictures look really nice, and similarly for video, where Sony's Bravia technology really comes in. Coming to the UI, you have Android ICS running with Sony's Timescape UI on top. As you can see, it runs about okay. There's a little bit of lag now and then, even on the much faster processor, but it's not too bad. It is mostly fast around the UI when you're navigating around. There's the same usual widgets that you're used to and on the Xperia S before, or any Sony device running on ICS right now. You have a bunch of Sony apps pre-installed, which we'll talk about in a little while. You also have some nice additions like the tweaked on-screen keyboard right there, which has swipe functionality, though it doesn't actually work very well because I haven't used it that much. The swipe functionality does kind of remember what you teach it to, so it learns you as you use it. So that's quite nice. And there's also a couple apps by Sony, like Sony's Media Remote and their Liveware Manager. The Liveware Manager basically lets you know what you wanted to do when you plug in something. Like if you plug in a headset, it'll start up the music player automatically for you if you choose to, or you can choose it to do something when you pair something over Bluetooth or an NFC tag, for example. Some devices also come with Sony's Music Unlimited service. It depends. It's a regional dependent service though, but it does allow you to stream music. There's also Sony's Play Now and compatibility with the PlayStation Store for mobile. So that's pretty cool, giving you access to a couple more games, among other things. So yeah, just to give you a quick round of the speed and specs of this thing, you have a 1.7 gigahertz processor with Adreno 220 GPU and 1 GB of RAM. So all in all, it is last res hardware because it is running on a Snapdragon S3 processor. So benchmarks aren't really that great, but it is fast enough overall. Of course, if you put it against a phone like the HTC One S, which is using a Snapdragon S4 processor, it does lack a little bit in terms of the benchmarks. Apart from that, you have 32 GB of internal memory, which is good enough. You don't have a micro SD card slot though, but you do have about 2 GB of space for your apps, and there are quite a lot of preloaded apps as there is, and you have about 27 GB available to you to fill up with music or pictures or video. Coming to web browsing, the web browser is pretty good. It loads up pretty fast as well, and scrolling and panning around is also pretty okay. You can zoom in, zoom out, and that kind of stuff. It's not laggy as such. It actually works quite nice in the web browser. I should note though that there is Flash support in here, but it's not installed, so you will have to sideload Adobe Flash if you really need it for something or the other. Just to give you a quick tour of the Sony apps that I told you about, there's the album art, which is pretty nice. It's a nice little album app where you can actually change how you want to see the pictures by pinching and zooming in on them, and it sorts your pictures according to when it was taken as well. It's actually one of the nicer album apps around. You also have Sony's Walkman Player, which is also pretty cool. It has a very nice minimalistic UI, and the background changes according to the album art, as you can see right there. So that is quite nice, and it has all the functionality that you'd expect from a music player. And lastly, there's also Sony's Films app, where you can watch your videos and stuff like that. There's support for DivX video and XVID up to 1080p. And thanks to that Bravia screen, everything does look quite nice and beautiful. So that does work out pretty well if you're into media and watching movies or pictures on your Xperia S or your mobile phone. It also is worth noting that the loudspeaker at the back is quite loud, and it's always nice to see a loud loudspeaker in a flagship device nowadays. It's really clean and loud, and thanks to Sony's enhancements like the X Loud, bass boost, it does work out pretty well. So that's nice to see as well. Moving on to the last bit about the media, the camera app is actually quite fast. It has a very nice minimalistic UI and various scene modes and things that you can change right from there. You can also tap the menu button to get some more options right there. So you have geotagging, and you can take pictures up to 12 megapixel, or if depending on the aspect ratio, you can take it up to 9 if you want in a 16:9 aspect ratio. The camera app is pretty fast, and toggling between video and the picture mode is pretty fast as well. No complaints as such. It does take a little while to focus. I noticed the focusing can be a little picky at times, but otherwise the quality is pretty good. Images come out very sharp. The colors are a little oversaturated, which is traditional Sony style, I guess, but it's not too bad, and it has quite a lot of detail, more so than a lot of 8 megapixel cameras in this price range. There are some white balance issues though, but those will mostly happen indoors, where it does get a little noisy as well, but it's actually pretty decent. The videos that you take with this app are also pretty good. You can record video up to about 1080p. It's smooth, and it's a solid 30 frames per second, so no complaints as such. That is also worth noting that the call quality is pretty nice on the Xperia SL. Sony usually has decent call quality, and this is just another device that has it along with noise cancellation, so it's pretty good. The battery is 1750 mAh, which does get you through a day. It's rated at about I think 17 days of standby, or 8 hours of talk time, and 33 hours of music playback. I actually got exactly the same results as the Xperia S when using this device. I thought it might be a little slower, or a little in terms of battery life at least, won't last as long, but it actually managed exactly the same battery life, so there you go. On 3G, depending on how solid your network coverage is, it might last you about 12 hours, I assume. For me, I managed to get through an entire day. I'll have more details of that on the blog. At the end of the day, you have very marginal improvements in the Sony Xperia SL. It is faster than the Xperia S. It looks exactly the same. It has the same battery too. So it's, I don't know, it is a nice little phone. I would assume that if you want to buy an Xperia S, you would go for the Xperia SL instead. You still have a lot of nice stuff in there. You have Android 4.0, which I know is a version behind Jelly Bean, and the updated Jelly Bean will just be coming sometime next year. You have no idea when it will. But you do have 32 GB of internal memory, and you have a 12 megapixel camera at the back that has pretty good results, and you have pretty decent build quality as well. So yeah, it is a little chubby as well, but the screen is really nice, and it's all in all a pretty good phone. It might be a little hard to justify its high price because you do get a lot of other nice devices in this price range as well. For example, if you're a Sony fan, you could get the Xperia Acro S, which costs just a little bit more, or you could get the Xperia P, which admittedly doesn't have a screen as high resolution as this, but is much cheaper and has better build quality. Or you could just get the Xperia S, which is exactly the same phone, a little bit slower, but exactly the same phone. Or if you're looking for other manufacturers, you can try and get the HTC One S, which is exactly the same price. It is much faster because of the Snapdragon S4 processor, and doesn't have as great a screen, but is also pretty good. So yeah, that's about it. Thanks for watching, guys. This is a quick video review of the Sony Xperia SL. We have a much more detailed overview over on the blog, so do check out our detailed review over on unleashthephones.com. In the meanwhile, if you have any questions, do let me know in the comment section right below.